I played all that we had at the time, which was football, basketball, and track. Football, I think, would be my favorite. Well, the one game that we all remember was our senior year, the homecoming game with Forest City. Partly because in our 3 years of playing, we did not have a lot of success. We won 9 games over 3 years, so that's not very good. But our senior year, when we had homecoming, and we were off to a pretty rocky start. I think we had won 1 game by that time. And Forest City came up to play, and they weren't a whole lot better than us, but we had played them all these years. That was the teams that we played from every single year during that era. And so we had the homecoming festivities, which in those days involved the football players. So before the game, the senior football players would escort a maid from each of the classes. Had probably 2 maids, and so we would walk out there, and then they would have the boy and girl to carry the football and the crown, and then the captains for the night would escort the maid or the queen. And so we had all of that big festivity, and then we would go in the locker room and get ready for the game. So that night we kicked off to Forest City, and we held them without making a touchdown, so they punted to us. And the very first thing, it was a short punt, and Bobby Caldwell, who now is the owner and manager of the local radio station here in Wynne, caught the ball, and as soon as he caught the ball on that punt, a fella just hit him instantaneously, but it didn't knock him down. And he stumbled back a little bit, and he took off, and he ran and made a touchdown on the first time we touched the ball. And so also during that time, instead of going for 2 points for running the ball and 1 point for kicking, every extra point counted 1 point, whether you kicked it, ran it, passed it, or whatever. So we tried to run it with the best play that we had from the last week. And obviously Forest City knew that was our best play from the last week, and they stopped us cold. So that was our first touchdown, and we got ahead. And so the game kind of ebbed back and forth. We managed to stop them a few times and such, but the final score was 27-25. And the 4 touchdowns, I can remember the one that Bobby scored. I can remember the one that Billy Sanders, who was one of our running backs, he scored, and we used to say that there was a hole big enough that you could have driven a Mack truck through. I mean, it was, he ran through and was never touched. And then we scored 1 more touchdown on a 4th down play, and there was a pass, and Bobby Owens, who was the quarterback, threw the ball, and he was throwing it to me, but he threw it behind me, and Jerry Bradshaw caught the ball in the back of the end zone for his touchdown. The only touchdown I think that he ever scored was on that one. And so I can't remember what the other touchdown was, but the 3 extra points that we scored that night were all on the same play, and I had those 3 extra point passes that were thrown to me, same play. We ran them over and over, and that was a memorable night for us. Kind of an addendum to that is on Monday, we always watched the film from the Friday night ball game. And we had seen a lot of Friday night films that we really didn't care to see because we were losing. So Monday we come in and we wanted to see that film. There was no film. At those days, obviously, there was no videotape. They would film the game, then take the film to Memphis, and there was a company over there that would develop the film, and then they would return it to us. And somehow our film got mixed up, and the film that we got was from some team in Tennessee. So we thought, oh, well, that's okay. They've got our film. No, they didn't have our film. We never knew who got our film. We've never seen that game. The one game, and out of all of the games that we would have seen, that is the one that we would want to see. And we've never seen it. So that's the sad tale to the ending to that tale. But it was a great night, beating Forest City on homecoming our senior year. The class of 1966 was the first class where we integrated with the blacks school. But at that time, it was not a total integration. It was called freedom of choice. So we had people that, there were a few blacks that chose to come to the Wynne High School rather than attend Childress High School. My class had two blacks, Sharita Majid and Alvin Futrell. Alvin was a basketball player. And the previous year, I told you our football teams had not done very well, but my junior year, our basketball team went 3-22. So we weren't very good at all. But our senior year, it was pretty much the same people that had played the previous year except for Alvin. Alvin was about 6'3". And so for us, that was tall. We played, if you look at the difference in the eras, West Memphis had a player that was maybe 6'7", 6'8", that played center. But for a team to have players that were 6'3", 6'4", 6'5", those were the tallest players. And frequently they were players they played center. They weren't very good out on the court. But Alvin was good. He not only could jump, but he also could handle the ball, which was very nice for me because previously I was kind of the ball handler, and now we had a ball handler that was a foot taller than I, but he was also able to control the ball and to help bring the ball up court. And so we had a limited degree of success. We finished about 500, I can't remember exactly, 12-12, 12-13, something like that. And there were some good games that we had, but the one thing that I remember most is the night that we had played at Stuttgart. And at that time, when we played out of town we would play a junior high game and a senior high game. We didn't have a girls team during the 60s. So it was always just the junior and senior boys games. And we had played at Stuttgart, and on the way home that night, we did something we didn't do all the time, but we stopped to eat. And that was the kind of a treat for us. And we stopped in Clarendon, little town just on the Arkansas River. And we pulled up our bus, and so there were probably about 30 or 35 of us on the bus. And we all traipsed into this little cafe that was on the main drag of Clarendon, and we scattered around, and some of the guys were just ordering chips and Cokes, and others were ordering hamburgers. We were going to, just stay there for as long as we needed to. And we had been there for about 10 minutes, and some of the guys had ordered, and we were just visiting. And the coach was named Jerry Cash. And he was his first year of coaching. He had just graduated from Ouachita in Arkadelphia. And so this was he was early 20s, and he came to Wynne to start his coaching career. And that night, the owner came up to him and told him that it was fine for us. He was glad to have us to come, but there was one of the players that would have to go, and he'd have to go eat somewhere else, and that was Alvin. And when the coach was told that, he looked at us and asked us what we wanted to do. And we didn't have to think very long at all. We knew what we were going to do. We all left. I don't know how many hamburgers the guy left on the grill, how many Cokes that were actually purchased, but we knew that he was our teammate, and he was going to be a part of us, and we weren't going to leave him. So we just all left, piled back on the bus, and headed home. Just shows again the difference in what it's been like since 50 years have passed. I never talked to Alvin about that, and I'd be interested to know what his thoughts were about that evening. But Alvin made us a better basketball team, but he made us all better people. He was a wonderful, wonderful guy. He went on to play college basketball at Henderson State University. And I went to Hendricks and Conway. And when they would come to play, I always made a point to go and visit with him after the game. And he was always good and friendly to visit with. So that's one of those things that I'll always remember, though.